78644 is brought to you by Wella Foods, Thunderbird Bars, and Texas Hatters. In this episode, we speak with a range of filmmakers, artists, and musicians who have recently made their mark in Lockhart. We sit down with members of Greyhounds and Austin's premier Paul Simon cover band Simon Says, and dive deep into an in-depth conversation with the filmmakers behind Yakona, a documentary about the San Marcos River. All of this and more coming up in the next hour. I'm Stephen Collins, and this is 78644. In late August, songwriter and singer Andy Bianculi of Star Parks and formerly of The Preservation stopped by with his friend Caitlin Palmer. They both are in Simon Says, Austin's premier Paul Simon cover band, to discuss the show they were doing at Courthouse Nights, Paul Simon's work, and how it's had an effect on his career and his writing. He begins with how he got involved with Simon Says.
I wanted to do Graceland with my friend's band. I was like, hey, man, let me just come and play and do Graceland with you guys for like one show.
Right.
And then we didn't do that. Years went by and it kind of seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And then Derek just kind of put the whole band together, which eventually turned into the band that I have now, which I, at the time, was a 5-piece. And now my personal band, Star Parks, basically took most of the people from this Paul Simon band and it became that lineup for that group.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like a nice group of jazz musicians, horn players. But yeah, so then we did it once. I forget the first show. Do you remember the first show?
I wasn't there at the first show.
Do we have anybody singing back and forth?
That was at Spider House, I think. Ballroom.
Okay. Yeah, we opened up for an ELO cover band.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, it was fun. Everybody's so good. They all came prepared. We didn't really rehearse that much. I've seen that sing Paul Simon songs better than my own songs. Like they're in my range. So it just felt like a very natural thing.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I guess we just kept doing it.
Yeah, the band was already forming and practicing. And I was in another project with Derek, like a country band. And he was telling me about the Paul Simon gig that he was doing. And I just thought, they need me. They need to have a female singer.
You weaseled your way in.
I said, I know there's that one. That one Under African Skies with Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
You got to have Linda. And then so I kept kind of pestering Derek to pester you to say, can Caitlin come rehearse with us? And then finally, I guess you gave him the go-ahead, or maybe he didn't really ask you, and I just showed up at a rehearsal, and I just started showing up. But I'm very happy to be playing the part of Garfunkel et al.
You do a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, it just had a pretty positive reaction. We were like, oh, might as well just keep doing it. And it's not something we did a lot. We would maybe play every few months. It's hard to get 12 people together.
Yeah, it is.
With other bands.
It's interesting to me, this sound of, Paul Simon's Graceland and Peter Gabriel were kind of the first Western songwriters that started to push mainstream world music, I guess.
Yeah.
In the 80s. Yeah. And it took off. Like, people were really excited about it. Do you find when you're playing these gigs that you're seeing people that are younger that are really responding to it? Or are they just, is it nostalgic? I'm kind of curious about that.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people expect us to be bad.
I think his music invites anybody that's listening to, move around and connect to the music and to one another. And I think that's what happens at our shows. We have, every time we play late in the evening, there's a conga line that gets going. And it's not just the older folks. It's not just the younger folks. It's everybody. And it happens pretty much every time. And it's so sweet.
Now, Caitlin, do you have your own band that you front or sing? I'm not quite.
I sing with a couple of outfits in town. One is a group called the Hushabyes. We're a 3-piece female harmony band. We do what I like to call witchy doo-wop. But yeah, I'm a singer for hire around town, so.
That's cool. Andy, have you found that by doing the Paul Simon thing, especially, I guess you guys do Graceland. That's the thing that you're doing with a couple of Simon and Garfunkel songs.
We did Graceland all together.
Yeah.
Like from front to back.
Yeah.
Once.
Okay. But now it's like
it's just
all kinds of stuff.
Thing, yeah.
Right. Okay. Didn't know that. That's cool. So it's a whole gamut. So you got some Rhythm of the Saints and One Trick Pony.
We do One Trick Pony. We do late in the evenings on One Trick Pony.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole pretty much up until Rhythm of the Saints. I think that's where we call it quits on.
Yeah.
We don't go deep into the 90s or anything.
What about African Skies?
We do have African Skies. I don't think we're doing it tonight.
We're not going to do it.
Well, my question was, have you found that doing that, being around that work, is it kind of influenced your work?
100%. It is like getting inside something, seeing how it works. And these songs are like really full, like American songbook songs. They're like a novel. When you like kind of get inside it and like behold it and you start looking at your own songs, you're like, oh my God, like this just does so many things to get to the place. And arrangement and subtlety and like just big picture stuff. I think it had a big influence.
Courthouse Nights is what you're doing here in Lockhart, and are you getting more and more requests to do this?
My father thinks I should put more energy into this group.
He's a big Paul Simon fan.
Yeah. Well, he's come to see us a bunch of times, and he's like, that's the thing you should be doing.
Yeah.
Which I'm not going to argue with him. It's just, it hurts a little. It's a fun project that we're all involved in, but like we never really took it to a place where we're like, hey, let's go for this.
Yeah. All right.
I think I'd say more than half of us have like pretty successful groups, ourselves excluded.
True.
Our guitar player played Madison Square Garden last week, so
that's great. Who was he working with?
He plays guitar for that Kill Tony comedy show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in the band.
That's great.
So I don't think he's responsible for all the comedy.
I think we always really love playing together, and it feels like we're getting the band back together when we play.
Yeah.
And then I think we play like once a quarter, I would say.
Yeah, we pick it up from time to time.
Yeah.
I would love to take it on the road. Mm-hmm. There's some places that I think we would kill in, and I think it'd be great, but
that would be incredible.
It seems very difficult unless someone wants to give us a lot of money in a van and babysitters.
So that they can keep the cash.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the best thing is seeing people dancing. That's the most fun when I see like older people dancing and then people dancing with their babies and they're all dancing together. And my friend at one of our last shows, she got kind of pulled up by an older woman and they were just dancing together. And I think the music invites you to sort of play around.
Yeah,
and I think that's sort of what happens at our shows. I always feel so playful when I'm on stage. I'm having a really good time and everybody else is.
You get to look out more than I do. I'm usually trying to remember the words.
Yeah.
There's a lot of words.
No, that's the funny part when Andy has so many words to memorize that, he'll look at me sometimes right before he has to sing and,
I don't use charts. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
It's all in here, she says, pointing to her brain.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you for taking time to come before the show. This will air after the show, but it's a highlight on what is going on here in Lockhart, and we're fortunate to have you guys come out and play Courthouse Nights. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us.
I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but Lockhart has a fine arts coordinator. It's the director of bands and Lockhart ISD secondary fine arts coordinator, James Crowley. And he came into the studio to talk about the program. We've worked with him before on the Texas Monthly BBQ Fest and are working with him again. And he came in to discuss the program and what they've been up to. And it was an extraordinary conversation.
I'm from the New York area, New York and New Jersey. Went to school in New Jersey and achieved a music degree after much interest in music. And after teaching for 7 years in New Jersey, one of the things that I had heard about through some contacts and some colleagues was the great way that Texas and Texas schools furnish and support their fine arts programs. I got to a point in my career where I thought I'd give it a try and move down here and see what that was all about. You know, I can still remember kind of driving in off of 130 there down into the town and just thinking, man, wow, what a different kind of place, what a unique kind of place, and certainly different from how I was raised or where I grew up. And I didn't know how it would work out, but man, has it ever. I was the band director at Lockhart High School for 5 years. Now I've moved into the role of director of fine arts for Lockhart ISD. I'm kind of like the principal of creativity. I feel really fortunate to be part of this school system that prioritizes the fine arts and prioritizes music and performance within our schools. It'll be my responsibility, along with all our great teachers, to grow these programs that we offer, grow roots in the community. For our students in Lockhart ISD, one of the things that will make a huge difference and does make a huge difference is when they know what's possible for them in whatever their passion is. You know, a lot of times our students, you know, the school becomes their community. And if they're good at playing an instrument or singing, or if they can draw or paint, that becomes their formative experience. But beyond the classroom and beyond the school, we can direct them and you know, the community and the school can direct them to opportunities and experiences that will feed their spirit long after they've graduated. Something we emphasize is exposing students in grade school age, in elementary age, to fine arts. We have the great advantage and the great gift of visual and music art teachers. So visual arts and music teachers on all of our elementary campuses. So from kindergarten on, they're doing art and music once a week at least, every student. And, you know, that's not the norm in Central Texas or anywhere to have that available to them. So we have a great faculty of music and art teachers in our elementary schools. And in our secondary schools, we really encourage as many kids as possible. Enrollment is our greatest gift, to be able to reach out to all of these kids and give them an artistic outlet.
And that's both in school and then extracurricular too.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Starting in 6th grade, they can join, you know, a class or take a class for a variety of disciplines. You know, we have band and orchestra, we have choir, we have theater. Dance, starting in 6th grade, we have a dance program that goes all the way to grade 12. We have visual art, and in junior high, they can even take high school credit art. So it really advances quick. And then, of course, we have those programs going into high school as well. And in high school, we offer music theory, we offer independent study in music, and we offer piano courses, keyboarding, which is a really popular course as well. You know, most of those disciplines or courses have some kind of extracurricular element to it, like an athletic department or an athletic program would, where students are getting together outside of class time to rehearse or practice or do art. And, you know, we almost every week we're featuring some kind of performance or competition or contest that the kids are getting involved in. You know, it really broadens their horizons when they get to go out into the community and when they get to, you know, visit with other schools, kids who are like them in another school, and compete or share ideas. It really is a huge motivator once they get into secondary. I'm really also proud and happy to announce that Lockhart ISD is founding a mariachi program, which includes guitar as a new foundational discipline for music students. One of the great things about fine arts is that the flexibility of it allows us to really dream big. One of the things we did with the instrumental program 2 years ago was take the band to New York City and perform at Carnegie Hall. Creating those lifelong memories and those lifelong experiences is something that I'm really going to be encouraging our program directors to lean towards. I would encourage any parent in our community out there to get their kid involved in one of these great fine arts programs.
Absolutely. As Shakespeare says, it gentles the condition. When you do something creative and something beautiful like that, it makes you more human with all the humans around you.
That's the beautiful part about being a music educator in my case, or being in education, to see the transformation of the students.
At that grade school age and even into adulthood, but you're trying to, sometimes you become insular and you don't know how to interface. And sometimes sports do that because you're in a team and it gets you to think about other people, how you work with other people. But the arts do that in a unique way, in an emotional way, where the inside world comes out. I'm interested to see if you're seeing that now that you're growing this program.
I see an emotional response from them that's remarkable. I strongly encourage folks to come on out to all of our great public-facing events. Read all about our programs. You can see our calendar of events. That is your opportunity to see what these kids are capable of and to experience what we experience as teachers and faculty members, which is the great growth and joy of these kids. It's really amazing.
Hey, it's Johnny Ray, aka Jonathan Ray Case. You can catch me turning on the night light on KLKT every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. R.F. Shannon is some of the most compelling music in the known universe to my tender ears, and I have to tell you a little story to bring it on home for you. It's holiday time, 2019, and Lindsay and I knew we were gonna have to soon say farewell to our beloved black lab, Savannah. We were really just all keeping close and loving on her as Christmas approached, and my best friend from high school kind of randomly invites me to go camping in Big Bend. So Lindsay encouraged me to step away from the heaviness for a few days and go, so I did. So me and my buddy are out there under the stars by the fire, and the algo serves up some R.F. Shannon, and I'm like, what is that? And we just listened to the whole R.F. Shannon catalog on repeat the entire time we were out there. The perfect soundtrack for the place and the vibe and the deep mystery I felt myself dialoguing with at the time. So I returned to Lockhart knowing that the inevitable is nigh. A couple nights later, I'm sitting at the bar at Arts and Crafts, tears in my beers, and Lane is like, hey, do you know Shane? You guys should know each other. And the fella sitting next to me at the bar is Shane Renfro, the dadgum genius behind R.F. Shannon. And I'm like, well, as fate would have it, man, I've been out in Big Bend this past weekend listening to R.F. Shannon on repeat. No idea that there was any connection to Lockhart. So we sat there, had a couple more beers, and talked about life and algorithms and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, as you do. And now we play baseball together. Go Hawks. I gotta mention too that Shane's brother Jeff, who plays drums in R.F. Shannon, is just a very groovy, very tasteful drummer who, in my opinion, is instrumental in weaving the spell that is R.F. Shannon. This is Heathen Knights from their latest Red Swan in Palmetto.
stride. Although my mind is straight like a road on a muddy bank. Sometimes it feels a lot like, hey, I loved you but I lost myself. Break off a little piece of mind. Take shelter in the falling sky. Fading nights, everybody's killing time. Fading nights, a sickle in the western sky. A sickle in the western sky. Heathen nights. I'm leaning on the moon. I'm light as a feather with an alibi. This halo ain't cheap, but the wings can't free. It's getting even harder not to sell your soul. Man, you know it feels like, hey, I loved you but I lost myself. Break off a little piece of mind. Take shelter in the falling sky. Fading nights, everybody's killing time. Fading nights, a sickle in the western sky. Fading nights, everybody's killing time. Fading nights. A sickle in the western sky. A sickle in the western sky. Heathen nights.
You can't picture
Leonard Skinner without Ronnie Van Zant, and Ronnie Van Zant without the high roller hat with the Rattlesnake Band on it. The high roller actually was created by my grandfather for my dad, who at the time was selling insurance in Waco. When he sent it to him, he put a note with it that, he wasn't anything but a high roller, wanted to go have coffee with the ladies selling insurance instead of coming back to work for him. Of course, that triggered it because he started selling more hats than he was insurance.
Come on down to Texas Hatters, where we top the best.
Just a quick reminder that 100% of your donation goes to the musicians. Supporting your favorite musicians is as easy as subscribing for $5 or more per month at 78644podcast.com.
Hey folks, Emily here from Wella, a local family-owned business right here in Lockhart, Texas. We make everyday foods you love, like Thunderbird, superfood energy bars, and our Wella hot cereal, and more, with only clean ingredients and amazing flavors. You can find us at H-E-B, Central Market, Whole Foods, Good Things on the Lockhart Square, as well as thunderbirdbar.com, wellafoods.com, and Amazon.
Austin musical duo Greyhounds, consisting of Anthony Farrell and Andrew Trube, stopped by the studio to talk about their upcoming performance at the Texas Monthly BBQ Fest in November, and played a couple of songs for us as well. We started off with the origin of Greyhounds and how the two guys met.
Put an ad out in the LA Weekly looking for a keyboardist, and Anthony answered it. He called me and played over the phone, and I knew immediately that we were going to be playing together for a long time. That's kind of how it all started out there in Los Angeles. I moved out there from Tyler to be a musician. That's where we met.
Literally the first ad that I saw was Andrew's ad. And he was like, yeah, come hang out. Me and my friends got a warehouse that we rehearse at. 6 months later, we started hitting the road, and we haven't stopped since.
So the project began in Los Angeles, and then both you guys came to Austin. How did that happen? What brought you to Austin?
I don't know, just a lot of family. And then I guess the main reason was our management was here. And so we just decided to relocate here. At the time, it was a lot more affordable than Los Angeles, and there were a ton of musicians doing stuff here that we were way into. And Anthony had family from Texas from back in the day, too. So he has always had a kind of a Texas calling as well, I guess.
At that time, Austin has always been great. It's just a very unique place. You got nature, you got nightlife, people are friendly, and you've got a real diverse array of things happening. You got the schools, like all this energy. And so it's a great place to be continually inspired. And, we've been fortunate to have a lot of adventures and the community around us. People have supported us in our dream, of making music. And, that's what keeps us going.
Absolutely. I think that we write songs that move us, but they're also influenced by society or what's happening in the world today. We want to make everyone feel welcome no matter where they come from, who they are. And we try to write songs that everyone can kind of relate to. They can relate to in some way. And that's super important with us too. And I think that's why we keep writing and we keep working, is because, the world's always changing. We just had, Anthony just had a kid. I just had a kid. So that's a big part of life now. We're looking at things through a different lens, and we're fortunate enough that we get to raise our kids together, which is pretty wild. They're like 2 months apart randomly. And there's always room for new ideas and new music and new stories and new grooves, and and it just doesn't. It hasn't gotten old yet for me. So
that's the best part. Well, let's talk about the last record a bit.
We did. That was a combination of Anthony and I and Sam Patlove and Tim Crane, T-Bird and the Breaks. So basically, T-Bird and the Breaks, we called it Greyhounds, Grey Bird. And it was just a really cool experiment to work with those guys. And we're really proud of the album. It's a lovely record.
A true collaboration.
Yeah, it was a straight up collab. It's a great album. We love it. Oh, yeah, we did an album before that called Primates with Steve Berlin from Los Lobos. He produced it. And we've been that was like our COVID album, I guess, or COVID happened. And so,
well, actually, we did Adobe after that.
We did do Adobe after
That's
that.
Kind of
yeah, we've got too many records, man. But yeah, the latest one is is Grey Bird.
Do you find that you enjoy the record making process or more the live thing, or both?
When you're in the studio and you're making an album, you're kind of thinking about the fact that, hey, this is something that is going to last no matter what happens. You have this. This is a record of this point in time. There's something special about that. But then, the aspect of like playing live and, it's an experience that you share with the audience. There's something special and like precious about that, because it's like, that's it. You can't recreate that. It's just between you and the audience and everybody there. They're special in their own ways.
Would you have something that you're working on coming up?
We're always working on something new. And we're fortunate enough that we get to sit around and work on music and write and then go and perform for people who enjoy it. And it's just when you play live and you get to see those songs come to life on stage, and you see folks that love the songs and they've listened to them and now they're getting to see them and have them performed, and it brings those folks joy. That's like the whole point, for me, is like just that connection and that moment in time together where they're just having a good time and enjoying themselves, and we are too. And it's what it's all for. That's a really good payoff for writing and performing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is the connection, Yeah. And sometimes making records, you put them out there, but you don't know what's happening with the connection. But with the live thing, you're like, oh, wow, I feel these songs working, Yeah. We'll get a chance to hear you play live at the Texas Monthly BBQ Fest. Anything special for that gig? Or I know you're coming down to play on the main stage.
I think Anthony's going to dress up like a big giant rib. No. I'm going to be like a chicken leg.
I like it.
No, it's an honor to get to play for the Texas Monthly BBQ Fest. It's really cool. It's been going on for years. I'm stoked because I've always wanted to go, but tickets are always so expensive. Now we can get in for free since we're performing. So I'm just kidding. It's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it. And it's just going to be really cool to be in Lockhart. My family, my uncle's side has been here since they came from Germany. They have a Longhorn ranch just north of here. And I've been coming to Lockhart my whole life. And it's just really cool to see the place blow up with creative talent and creative energy and just people breathing life back into this joint,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just really cool that we get to be a part of it.
We're standing here on this one-way street. No one wants to be the first to leave. What's left to say? Just walk away. Feels like a band-aid healing slowly. I know you got your dreams to chase, and there's no more time to waste. Take a mental picture of your face. Let's make a clean break. Oh, but I don't want it to crash. know. But I'm sure you show the world your beauty. Possibly, if it's meant to be, I see you out there on the sea. And I remember the way you were before, when I was the one you waited for. But now those days are no more, and it hurts to the core. But I don't want you to ask mine, 'cause I just can't stand the thought goodbye. Oh, I don't want you to ask you why. No, I don't, 'cause I just can't stand the thought goodbye. No more long goodbye. No more long goodbye. No, 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 no. No more long goodbye. No more long goodbye.
More information about Greyhounds may be found on their website at www.greyhoundsmusic.com. That's www.greyhoundsmusic.com. They'll be performing at Texas Monthly's BBQ Fest on November 2nd. Yakona is a word that means water rising in the language of the indigenous people of the San Marcos River. It's a film, a visual journey through the crystal clear waters of the San Marcos River and its headwaters at Spring Lake. And the film takes the viewer from a prehistoric time through the modern era on an impressionistic journey from the perspective of the river. The films are inspired by the Qatsi trilogy, starting with Koyaanisqatsi. Films that are relying heavily on the narrative of the visual, accompanied by soundtrack, but no narration. I got a chance to speak with the directors, Anlo Sepulveda and Paul Collins, by Zoom, and we had a fantastic conversation about the film.
You know, Anlo and I, we go back, over 20 years. We met each other working here at the university. We were both really into filmmaking, and also the river. I know Anlo lived right beside the river. He had an apartment, and sometimes I'd go over there and hang out. And, we'd always kind of maybe flirt with the idea of like, oh, it'd be really cool to make a documentary about the river. At the time, this was back in around 2000, 2001, where doing, underwater photography was really only for rich people.
Absolutely, yeah.
So independent filmmakers were still on doing 16 millimeter or video, So for us, it was kind of just, a pipe dream at the time. But getting back to the artistic approach, him and I, we really keened in on visual language through the lens. But I think it also underscored how that river communicated to us as we put on our snorkel and mask and we dove into that river. It was speaking to us in that non-human voice, that non-narrational voice. And we wanted to bring that experience to the screen.
He saw online an Icolite underwater case and started filming. And he's like, dude, you got to see this footage. It was a 4-year journey. 4 years of just being in the river every day filming. We wanted to incorporate, the perspective of the river over time from the very beginning, just really trying to learn some of the history from Native American elders in the community and trying to really understand that perspective.
One thing that we learned during the journey, because there was a whole journey of us learning about this river while we were making it, is that the San Marcos River area even including, Lockhart, and this whole area has been inhabited by people maybe longer than any other place in North America. And it's partially because of the river systems and the springs, and they have never dried up, and so there was always this life-giving water and spring that people could come to when other places didn't have water. And so, we in our minds we imagine, if a Clovis person, which is the first historically, documented people that in the area, could watch this film, could they get the same thing out of it as a modern day human? So we always kind of thinking that.
That's cool. And it's almost like the absence of spoken language lets it speak.
When you think about typical narrative, it's all based on a script, a screenplay, the written word, which makes sense because it, evolved from theater, but using visual language and emotionally driven images and music, and kind of putting that all together it's just another approach to filmmaking that resonates with both Paul and I.
The music for Yakona was composed and recorded by Justin Sherburne, a musician and composer and musical director based in Austin. And he's produced scores for award-winning theater, dance, film, and television. And he currently tours and records with Ackerville River and Glover Tango, a traditional Argentine tango orchestra. Does Justin create the soundtrack, or do you make a cut and he builds to that? I'm curious which one informed the other.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of back and forth. He would kind of give us some demo, and then we kind of cut to that, and then we kind of be more specific about what we needed from, the record, from the orchestration and more cello, kind of thing. And it was kind of a dialogue. It was a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, and he did create. After you watch it several times, there's some motifs that come and play, and they become kind of the Yakona motif, and it's a melody that's really nice. And now that Aldo and I have watched it 10 years, like when we hear that melody, it kind of brings back a lot of memories now of that film and the journey. So it's really nice that he was able to find that kind of, like I said, motif for Yakona, and it really fits really beautifully.
During the film, you cover its kind of genesis, and then it goes down to the sea, but you also cover the presence and the destruction of the Acarena Springs roadside attraction park. That was kind of an interesting part of the river and San Marcos, and sort of an Americana thing from mid-century.
As it became basically bankrupt over the years, and the university bought it, no one really was able to fund the restoration and take out the dilapidation of the theme park rides. So a lot of the old theme park rides were just kind of rotting away and rusting into the spring, in the heart of the spring, which in itself was, that was pretty bad environmentally, because you have one of the most purest sources of water coming out, and right away it's poison and being leached by toxic metals, right? So it's just a bad situation. So during the time that we were filming, coincidentally, they had started a restoration project to remove all of the dilapidated theme park structures. And many of those are in the film, including this underwater theater, this giant underwater theater that would bring, I think it was like dozens of people could go underwater and watch mermaid shows and all sorts of theatrics underwater. And that was just kind of left to kind of rot at the bottom of the spring. So in the film, you see it being removed as part of kind of the revitalization of a natural area.
Yeah, it kind of fit in perfectly with the ideas of decay and rebirth and those kind of life cycles. But yeah, I mean, I think Paul and I we wanted to kind of have a delicate balance with our approach to that, of, kind of maintaining some of that nostalgia, but also understanding that it needed to change.
over the last 10 years, there's been a conscious shift on understanding the river. And I think it was considered more of a objective, lifeless force, but now they're seeing it more as part of the community, a life-giving force. And so it's not a place necessarily where you just use and abuse to tube and drink and have fun, but it is a place that you respect, you want to cherish, and you want to save. And I think one of the most important things is this river is so unique and so beautiful and so pure that we need to really save that state for future generations.
Yakona can be streamed on all major streaming platforms. You may find out more about the film at its website, www.yakona.org. That's www.yakona.org.
Putting on my suede shoe, putting on my long tie. It's time for me to get out of this town. And I'm a back tie.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Texas Hatters, Wella Foods, and Thunderbird Bars. Our in-kind sponsors are Printing Solutions, Williams Island Courthouse Nights, the Rock House Airbnb, Birdie House Airbnb, Gaslight Baker Theater, and Crystal Glaze Photography. 78644 is produced by Kate Collins, recorded at the Troubadour Image and Sound Studio here in Lockhart, Texas, edited by myself, Stephen Collins, and Danny Manning. Social media is managed by Crystal Glaze. Music on this episode is by Greyhounds, the Fightin' Lockhart Lions High School Band, and myself, Stephen Collins. In-studio performance by Greyhounds. Our show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Radio Public, and everywhere else where podcasts are streamed. Thanks so much for listening.